Sweat does not cause acne. Sweat sitting in your pores for long periods of time does cause acne. If that's the reason why you're getting acne, I'm gonna give you the fix. If you think you're never gonna get better, you're never gonna get better. You have to wake up and go get it every day. You have to find that in you, because nobody is going to teach that to you. Growing up in sports, you have to hold yourself accountable. How do you get up the next day? How do you stand up? How do you show up to everybody around you? Are you gonna sulk and be a negative impact on the team? Or are you gonna pick yourself up and you're gonna go to the game and are you gonna win it? I think athletes deal with a lot of the things that normal people deal with: depression, anxiety.
We see them as like these powerhouses, right? These people who can take physical blows to their body and they can do things that we think we can't do, right? And then we don't see the human soft side, but you did.
Everybody's got something.
Gabby.
Nina.
Welcome to Chai Tea with Nina D.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I've watched you make some very big, bold moves in your life over the last year. I feel like I've seen you grow immensely over the past year, and I've gotten to know you too, and I love you as a person, and actually our crew and team feels the same way too. So I know I'm not just saying that, like, you really are, like, you're a special person for sure.
Thank you.
I want to know about what inspired you to start a skincare brand and what makes your skincare brand unique than others.
So, you know this about me. By, I guess, profession, I'm an athletic trainer, and that's what I got my degrees in. I spent the last decade in sports, and while I was in sports, I was working primarily with men. Pretty much throughout the last 5 years for sure, where I started to when I started to see this idea kind of come to life with the problems they were having. Throughout those years, the guys would come to me for their injuries. That was a big part of my job, obviously, as an athletic trainer. But I handled a lot of other things too. I handled mental health, and teeth, skin, eyes were my kind of the departments I was running, especially with football. And I don't know if it was because they were so comfortable with me that they were able to kind of ask me for help with their skin, but they would, dozens of guys would say, I really don't want to go to media. Can I go to the dermatologist? We'd go to the dermatologist, and then honestly, I would just talk to them, and I would just say, what's your skincare routine? And it was, I don't have one. I don't know what products to use. I've never, I don't wash my face because I don't have the time. So basically, throughout, especially, like I said, the last 5 years, I've just seen this over and over and over again about them not knowing how to build a skincare routine. So I kind of pocketed it, and here I am now, but it was only because I kept seeing it across all calibers of sports that I was working in.
Do you feel as though now more than ever, men are more interested in skincare?
Oh yeah, I think so. And I think there's a gap. I think people my age, I'm 30, so guys my age still are kind of tapping into it and trying to learn more about it. But Gen Z, I think, is a lot more acquainted with it. And I think that they kind of know a little bit more than men my age right now. I think it's TikTok. I think that's...
I think social media too. You're right. Because I remember when I met Brian, he had no skincare. He didn't do anything for his skincare.
Yeah.
And now he literally, his whole skincare routine is what mine is. And he doesn't go a morning or a day without it. And if he runs out of his stuff, he's on my side of the bathroom, using my stuff. So but again, Brian's 37, 38 years old. And I'm just are kids into this? I feel like they are. And I feel like social media has a lot to do with it. So what makes Game Plan, that's the name of your skincare brand, what makes Game Plan unique compared to others?
So we are in product development for 2 to 3 more products right now, but our wipes especially, when I was formulating this, I was really thinking of everybody I was doing it for. So all of my athletes and people that would be using this and recognizing kind of the needs of athletic skin, it's rough, raw, dehydrated, fatigued, inflamed. So we pack these with antioxidants that also have, sun damage protection, UV protection, and environmental stressor protections, because these athletes and normal people that are also athletes are outside. So I really wanted to make something really laser sharp for the needs that athletic skin needs. Our wipe is cross weave design, so it gets deeper, but it's gentle.
Are you talking about So here's the
material of the wipe.
It's like a makeup wipe, but the weave of it. Okay.
So
is that unique then?
Yeah, because it takes off eye black.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It could take off eye black, but it's gentle enough where it's not going to strip your skin.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, like you think of athletes, you might think of headgear and stuff. Their skin is raw and rough and cracked. So had to be gentle, had to be clean ingredients, had to be things that are going to kind of elevate your skin as an athlete when you're outside, inside, and just generally like handle what I said, inflammation, dehydration, fatigue, redness, roughness, but nobody likes to play with cracked skin. It's uncomfortable.
Right. And painful, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay. And also like everybody deserves confidence. And I think that's why we're unique, because this is something that is made for you. We understand you as an athlete, and this is a solution for you. And I just want people to be able to recognize that, but also recognize it if they're not athletes anymore. And we are going to be that brand that does the right thing, and that also you can always reach for and count on.
So it's not just for athletes; it's for athletes and men, but it's also for women. Can also use this, correct?
Totally. I mean, like, I'm not a girly girl,
right,
at all, and like when I see this packaging, I really resonate with it.
Okay.
When I was like designing this and trying to figure it out, I was talking to my dad about colors, and I said, I think I'm gonna do red. And he was like, red means stop. I said, no, red means power.
Yeah,
like, I'm doing red.
Yeah.
So, I want to create like something for anybody. Anybody could use this if you sweat. If you sweat, we're for you. And I think that just goes in hand with the fact that we really do believe that everybody is an athlete. You don't really lose that identity when you're in sports for so long. And that's like still me. Like
that's going to resonate with a lot of people. You're right. Like if you were in athletics at any point in your life, right, and then you stop for whatever reason, I think that's a part of somebody.
Yeah.
For forever.
Well, sports is just like, so you learn so much from sports, and you really you go to bat for your teammates and the people around you. And I think
it's an emotional journey experience. It's an emotional part of life, I would say.
Yeah,
and I think people learn a lot from it. So you now have Game Plan. You're the CEO of Game Plan, CEO and founder, correct? But you started, like you said, in athletics. You were an athletic trainer before. What sparked your interest? Go to young Gabby. What sparked your interest to become an athletic trainer?
I was never good at school. Okay. So it took me forever to learn anything. Like I would study for hours longer than everybody else, and I still wouldn't get good grades on tests. So it was rough. Like it was pretty rough for me to really love math or science, or like, I just didn't really I hated everything because it took me so long to and I was a perfectionist, so I wanted good grades. When I got to college, I like to be, I'm like, go, go, go. You know how I am. So I'm always.
You're literally like the Energizer Bunny.
I'm literally on go all the time. I'm on go mode. I'm like, what's next? So sitting still in class sounded horrible. And I found athletic training because I went to it was like orientation. I went to learn about the PT program, and then I was like, wait, I get to run on the field? I'm doing that. I get to be outside at practice all day? Sign me up. So that's actually how it happened. I was originally going to go for PT, but I was like, I don't want to be in a clinic. I want to be out there.
So you always knew from a young age. How old were you?
Oh, this was in college. I knew what I wanted to do.
Okay. So you knew, I want to be active outside, on the field. Sports, basically. Okay.
Pretty much.
Take me back to baby Gabby. What was it like? Where were you born and raised? What was your family dynamic like? Your siblings, school, the whole 9 yards.
So I'm from Jersey.
I love Jersey.
Yeah, I love Jersey too. My family is from Staten Island and the New York area. I have a brother. My parents, I think they're the best people I know. I always tell people, my brother's my favorite person, and he is. I'm really lucky that I was raised with the way I was. I think I owe my parents everything. They're
I know. We've talked about family before, and I feel like every time you talk, it feels like you have such a warm, loving Italian family, and you guys are so close knit, and just I know it's they're moving down here soon at some point, right?
They're moving down here soon, but I think our parents have been together since they were 16.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
It is, but they literally are each other's best friends, and I see it, and I see it every time I'm home, and I think what I appreciate the most is how they opened up our home to all of our friends, like there's never been a holiday that we haven't had a friend join us, and it's like open door policy. It was like kind of like the gathering house, and they made it that way. I think friendships are hard when you're older, and I think that you can also like learn a lot about somebody so based on their past friendships. So I still have the same friends since like 2nd grade.
Same. Yeah. And you're right. It's harder to make friends when you're older, for sure. So you have like a very warm, loving family. And I get that vibe from you. Like right when I met you, I knew you were from the East Coast because I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, not too far from Jersey and not too far from New York. So I feel like I connected with you immediately.
Real recognize real, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
no, really. It was just
we
there.
hit it off.
I remember you left and I was like, Brian, I love her. Like she, like straight shooter. Like, you know, we're just like, I don't know. We say it like it is, you know? And I also feel like we wear our heart on our sleeves. Don't you feel like that? Like I
mean,
like,
1000%.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, there's like this realness, and I'm not putting any other part of the states down. I just feel like there's this thing of the East Coasters where we're just
we got a little like chip on our shoulder sometimes.
Yeah,
like
sometimes.
I'm like, I am tough.
Same. Like
I'm so blunt sometimes, but
then I feel like there's like also a sense of loyalty, and that shows in your family as well. You know, like you with your family and your brother and like everything. And I just
even
like,
my brother's friends and like my friends, it's just like
you guys all
loyal,
like family. It's literally like. His friends are like your brothers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You guys are like very close. And
so close. Like I feel
that.
really lucky that I grew up that way.
So over the years that I've gotten to know you, I feel like you have this unshakable, unmovable focus. Like you are very friendly. You are very personable. You can talk on like 10 different topics in one sentence, just like I do. I love it. Like I can keep up with you. You can keep up with me, but you don't miss a target. And I've seen that with you in your career. I see that with you even when you're here, like working on me for the dry needling stuff. I'm like, yeah, it hurts here, it hurts here. We'll be like talking. I'll even forget what I told you and what the problem was. And you'll be like, you said this hurt too. I don't even know how you do it. Like, I just don't understand. But I'm trying to understand, like, do you think it's something from your childhood or like from sports? Like, what is it that translates to make you so focused and disciplined? Where, I mean, look at you, you've created a skincare brand and you're an athletic trainer and now you're an entrepreneur. Yeah.
So actually, like, I was talking to my mom about this, about like my college applications when I was little, and I don't remember this, but she was like, you said, can I have your credit card? And then you said, I applied to 9 schools. And we were like, do you want us to read any of your essays and stuff? And I was like, no, I don't remember that. But my mom said that I was just so on all the time. And I think that a lot of it comes from sports because I was playing a million sports. I was that kid. Like my brother and I would be running from, you know, baseball or softball or
my arm had to be twisted to apply to college. I was like threatened of being kicked out of the house if I don't apply to school. Like that, you don't understand. I was the complete opposite of that. Oh my God.
No, I just like, I say that because like my parents never had to hold my hand or my brother's hand. Like we were both just very motivated naturally, but I also think it's because I watched how hard my parents worked. Like I didn't need anybody to tell me that you have to work hard to do something and to make something of yourself. Like I didn't need anybody to tell you that because I saw it. And I think that's really why I became like this.
You're very action oriented too. Like you're not the type of person to just talk. Like you
be about it.
You do it.
Put yourself behind it.
Like if a year ago I was talking to you and you were like, oh, I don't know if I should quit my job. I don't know if I should just like literally like 4 months later I see you're like, oh yeah, I'm not working anymore. And I'm like,
well, I think like
Gabby, should we talk about this? Like, you're like, no, we're done.
Yeah, and I think that sports did that too. Like you can complain about staying on the bench or you can work harder and not be on the bench.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I was not a naturally talented athlete, hence, like, why I didn't really. I mean, I am the lead assister at Watchung Hills, or I was at the time.
Oh my God.
In lacrosse.
Clearly, you're an athlete. I'm
athletic.
Yeah.
Maybe not that coordinated sometimes, but I am athletic. Like I can I box and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like I do think that growing up in sports, you have to hold yourself accountable.
There's a discipline there.
Such discipline. I mean, it teaches you so much, and that's why I really think that team sports are imperative to growth. Like
I think I told you this one day we were talking here, and I said to you, I'm like, Gabby, did you know when you started Game Plan? I told you, I'm like, did you know that young kids who play sports or really very athletic, they turn out to be very, very successful entrepreneurs.
You told me that?
Because you guys are action oriented and very competitive. You don't take no for an answer. You figure out a way. You don't overthink things or research things. You guys just go.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between someone who's extremely cerebral and analytical, like myself, I feel, whereas as an adult, I have to teach myself, hey, stop thinking, go take action. You know, like I'll overthink something.
Really, yeah.
And then I meet very, very successful entrepreneurs and they're like, be about it. That's exactly what, and I assume that there's like a connection there because most of them were athletes.
Yeah, and like, honestly, losing sucks.
You're competitive. I see it in you. Like
losing
you're very,
sucks.
yeah.
Like losing sucks. And I know that because I was on teams as a trainer, like that lost every game, and I was on the best team in college football that won the whole thing. I know what it feels like to lose, but I also know what it looks like to see a loser and to see somebody that is going to rise and be a winner. Like, how do you get up the next day?
How do you get up?
How do you stand up, and how do you show up? How do you show up to everybody around you? Are you gonna sulk and be a negative impact on the team, or are you gonna pick yourself up and you're gonna go next day up, next man up?
What is it like, since you're an athletic trainer and you've worked with some big names? I know you're a modest person and you're very down to earth, but I'm here to toot your horn for you. Like, you've done very well. What is it like? Can you describe for the audience, like, working in a very male-dominated industry with professional male athletes?
Yeah, so between soccer and football, I mean, like, best years. Like, it was the most fun. I never really looked at it as like
male-dominated.
Nah,
yeah,
like I'm just like going.
You're not like that. Yeah,
I'm just going to work. Like I had to be really tough to get respect. I would tell people like how it is, coaches, and hold my ground. And I feel like they respect me for it. So because I gained everybody's respect, I think in each place that I went, it wasn't really like I was one of them. I was part of the team. I think that it's just funny because I have all of my brother and his friends, and it just felt like that kind of dynamic all the time. Like there is never, guys are really like, the guys were really funny on the soccer team and the football team. But man, I was so stressed out because I'm their caretaker and like tracking them down for appointments, tracking them, like guys are like so like crazy and all over the place. And then I'm like, it kind of falls on me. So lots of stress, not so much with soccer, more so with football.
Is there a reason why it was more with football and not with soccer?
I think most of my career in football was in college. So just different age, I think, than...
Because they're younger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're younger. And I think it's like, not every kid is like that, right? But you're dealing with a lot more volume in football than soccer. And in soccer, they've been pros for a couple of years, or, you know, it's professional versus collegiate, so...
Aside from the challenges with skin that these athletes had been facing, right, that you clearly found a gap in the market, what other challenges in your experience did you see these athletes face? Since I know you were always talking to them, kind of like their therapist, like what other issues were there?
So, you know, I had we all at LSU, I feel really lucky that we focused on everything that kind of makes up the total well-being of athletes. So we had a really great program there and people in charge that prioritize like sleep, nutrition, mental health, all the things. But because we fostered that environment, they really, you know, I could help people more when they open up to me and they kind of tell me like what's going on. So some of the things was like not playing. That was a big kind of mental block for some people.
Like if they were on the bench?
Like on the bench, yeah.
So, okay.
That was really hard for people. Because then you have to keep going to practice and working really hard, but you're like, what's the point? Like, I'm not playing. So not playing in general, it's just like, it guts you. Like, it tears you apart. You could be the hardest worker in the room. And sometimes, like, you know, that's not up to you. That's up to coach. So that was really hard. But then for them to continue to show up every day, it's not motivating when you're not playing. So helping them through that, just generally having, you know, I think athletes deal with a lot of the things that normal people deal with, depression, anxiety.
Yeah, like we see them as like these like powerhouses, right? These people who could take physical blows to their body and they're like, they're big, they're muscular, they're strong. They can do things that we think we can't do, right? Or we're not trained to do. And then we don't see the human soft side to them, you know, the human, but you did.
Yeah, totally. You know, I had the guys that I was closer with and the athletes that I was closer with for sure, but everybody's got something, you know? And my job was to help refer them or kind of like guide them through. There's such crazy stories that I have from sports. Like there was one kid that couldn't make class on time. And he was just he would get like, you know, he was therefore like penalized and practice, whatever, because he couldn't make it to class on time. So I remember I would call him every morning to wake him up because he just would sleep through his alarms.
Oh my gosh.
Every morning.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Every morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
But so how old was he?
Probably around, it was probably around like 17, 18.
17, 18.
Yeah, like when he first got to school.
Okay. But no one else would do that. If you didn't do that, no one else was doing it, right?
Yeah, but that's how I felt. That's the same thing with their skin. Like I felt the same way about like this whole company. I was like, how is no one still doing this? We watch these kids on TV every day.
And no one's like taking care
Why is there nothing for them? Why is this still a problem?
Right.
But I do think that like, you know, compassion is really empathy plus action. Like,
yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Honestly, that's how I kind of like look at life. I'm like, you could feel bad for someone, or you could feel like, oh, that really sucks, or like, oh man, like really want to help them, but what are you gonna do about it?
So you're going back to like the action. Like I told you, you're very action-oriented person. It's like, okay, I don't want empathy from you, and I don't want to give you empathy, but I'll be compassionate and actually do something about it for you. And I feel like we need more of that in our society today, to be honest.
I do too, but like going back to what you said about, you know, the problems that athletes faced, I think that they came to me because I would give them action.
Because you did something about it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And everybody kind of has the person they're comfortable with, right? There was a staff at LSU. At soccer, I was the only one, so they had to come to me with what was going on. But I've always taken care of people, and I think that...
You do. You have this like...
There is
like
nothing,
I'll bring you in, like I'll like pick you up. You definitely have that in you.
Yeah, and athletic training and watching these athletes, like even with injuries and, you know, maybe having multiple injuries and that impacting your play, for you to get better, you have to think that you're going to get better. If you think you're never going to get better, then you're never going to get better. So like I would just try to help them be confident. I would, if they were scared to do a certain movement or get back on the field, like I would literally like replicate football and stuff like that. But that's not unique to me. That's what athletic trainers, I think, do.
So to touch on something you said here, you said that you have to believe you're going to heal, and then you're going to heal. But if you don't believe it, like it's not. So part of your job was to give them the confidence that they will get better, right?
Yeah, or like if they're like, something's wrong, like, you know, when you have surgery, you could feel like anxious, right?
Right.
So you kind of have to balance, like, I can imagine it's like being like a parent, like in some ways, like
in some ways, yeah.
When your kid is like freaking out about something, you have to like balance like validating them, but also calming them down, I guess. So like, you know, I would get it all the time. Like, I don't know if I could do that. I'm like, yeah, you can. Like, you absolutely can.
You know, there's you know who like Joe Dispenza type. I don't know if you like listen to Joe Dispenza, but these people are like, or Bruce Lipton. They're super into epigenetics and like your mind and your mind shapes. I think we're starting to, as a society, go into that, but I feel like in the trainer athletic field, yes. In the medical field, no. And I feel like you kind of cross in the middle there a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you do touch on that kind of, you know, you deal with injuries and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's still not common for your doctor, your trainer, someone to be like, you know, you have to believe this first. It's up here first. Yes, you're dealing with something physical right now. We understand that. But you got surgery for it or you're rehabbing for it. But now the rest of the work is up here. Yeah. Right? And I feel as though
majorly
very few people either preach on this, you know, or bring it up or even practice it. But I feel like you do, because you've done it with me. You know, you've done it with Brian as well. And I feel like that's a very big point to bring in, because that's also you helping them take action on their mindset.
Yeah,
first.
Absolutely.
Your anxiety, your depression, I mean, all these things that people, athletes have them too. They're not immune to that stuff. You know, you think they are, but they're not. And I'm sure you've heard stories. So I feel as though you just helping them with their mindset as well is like just a huge testament to like the kind of person you are. You know, your intentions are always pure. That's what I get from you all the time. Like your intentions are pure. At every single point.
I'm like the most wholesome.
You are.
My soccer, because I didn't know about soccer when I started with the team. Like I literally knew nothing. And the guys would always call, have you ever seen Ted Lasso? They're like, you're our Ted.
You said your whole team compared you to Ted Lasso?
Pretty much.
Tell me more.
They were just like, Ted Lasso is this beacon of positivity. And he moves from America to be a part of a soccer team and be the coach for a soccer team, like the head coach, after having absolutely no soccer experience. So he would just bring such a, like, it was almost so positive you want to throw up. And that's kind of like how I think I am in some ways. Like,
you don't make me feel that way at all. Like, I think you're extremely positive and I love everything about it. But that's why I didn't like fully get invested into the show, is because I was like, he's so positive. Like,
yeah, like it's almost like you wanna just like be like, that's OD, like that's too much. But like everybody just ends up loving him and needing him because he makes it fun. And I just try to make everything fun because like it's not easy to perform every day. It's not easy to show up to work every day. Athletic trainers, we show up at work at godforsaken hours in the morning. But when the guys come in, you're tired. You might be sick, but you still have to keep performing. So like if I could make it fun in any way and I could help lift them up, like that was always my goal. I felt better doing that than just fixing them. Like I wanted them to believe in themselves because I believe in them so much. And I knew that would go a long way. And that's kind of what Ted does. So
well, I also think like being positive, overly positive about something, or helping someone, like having compassion and taking action. I don't think that takes away from, the main point or the purpose of, whatever the job is. And I'm assuming that's where like Ted Lasso's character was. Like you can be positive and you can still get the job done. You don't have to be I don't think being negative helps anybody, to be honest. I know people say like be a realist or, I think being positive goes a longer way, so to speak.
I would just rather look back at my life and like how I treat other people and be a good person and feel like I did, feel like I lifted them up. It's really more effort to hate everything rather than to just like,
it's resistance. What you said was perfect. Like, I feel like when you're hating on something or being negative about something, you're resisting something.
Yeah.
When you're being positive, you're almost like flowing forward.
Yeah,
you're not like stopping. I feel like it's harder to be negative and it's harder to not be positive. I totally agree with you on that. Can you walk me through that pivotal moment in your career when you were like, okay, I'm an athletic trainer, I'm working with all these great athletes, you're in your like mojo, you've got things going, but you're like, I'm gonna start something new?
They were kind of two moments. Like the first moment was my best friends, Gus and Aaron. They sat me down. At the time I was going back to school because I thought I had to get another degree to make more money because athletic trainers traditionally are not, compensated very appropriately, I would say. So I was going back to school while working full time. And obviously I already told you I'm terrible at school. So I was failing chemistry as like a 25-year-old person. And I just like was so down in the dumps. And then Gus and Aaron just sat me down and they said, we think you should be an entrepreneur. Like you have such crazy ideas, like crazy cool ideas. We think you should do this. And then Gus looks at me and he goes, I will give you every dollar in my bank account. And I just like was like, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, nah, like, whatever. So Gus and Aaron like definitely got me to start thinking of a business idea. So I was like, maybe if I were to do it, like, what would I do? And I was like, well, I love skincare. And it wasn't like an aha moment where the light bulb went on that I was like, I'm going to do skincare for athletes. It's just that I kept seeing the same issues over and over and over again, and even in soccer because they didn't have like proper facilities, so they couldn't shower right away after they trained, and then they would have to go work out. But anyway, so I was like, maybe I'll do skincare for athletes. Like, why is no one still doing this? And then that was around Thanksgiving. I went home. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving is always like it's like
going out night,
blackout Wednesday or something.
What year was this?
3 years ago. So
okay,
2021.
21. Okay.
Yeah. We're all home and I always like referred to my brother's best friend, Drew, as, the family member I never asked for, but I got anyway. There was, friend wasn't really a word that was deep enough to describe like what he was to us. So went home for Thanksgiving and it's blackout Wednesday, so we're clearly all drinking, and Drew was sleeping over, and a couple more of Robbie's friends that we were all out with. And
Robbie's your brother.
Robbie's
and
my
Drew
brother.
is his friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Drew was like just adamant that I tell everybody this business idea that I told him on the phone a week earlier. So, I'm talking about it, and everyone's kind of like grilling me about it. Well, specifically like, Robbie's very logical, and he actually is now like working with us and helping us out.
Your brother.
Yeah. He, as our CFO, but, he's very logical, and he just like, risk oriented. Like, he's just very logical. So he was asking me all these questions, like, where are you going to get capital and stuff like that. And Drew was like, she's going to do this. That's a good idea, Gab. And I drove home the next morning, and he was adamant in the car.
How old is your brother when you guys are having this conversation, Robbie?
They're 15 months younger than me. So I was 26, they were 25.
Okay. And so Drew and Robbie, his friend, okay, 25.
They're actually like a week apart.
Okay.
And actually that whole friend group is like birthdays in the same week. It's crazy.
Okay.
Drew sleeps over, and he's obviously the first one up because he's just always is. And he's like, I got to go home. My mom's going to kill me if I stay any longer. So, we got in the car, I drove him home. And the last thing he said to me before he got out of the car was, you have to do it, Gab. You have to do the wipes. Didn't have a name, didn't have a concept, didn't have anything. He was like, I really think you're going to do this. And I was like, thanks. Like, I didn't think anything of it. Really, I was just like, appreciate you. And he was like, no, I'm serious. Like, you got to do that idea. Unfortunately, that Monday after Thanksgiving, Drew took his life and passed away. And that week, I filed for my LLC. And that's when I was like, I got to do this for him.
Did you have any clue? Like, anybody feel that this was characteristic of him?
No. I mean, no. He was the life of the party. Like, always just so funny and fun and high energy. And he was like one of a kind, truly. But also extremely hard worker, extremely diligent and disciplined. And with that, like, I do think that he put a lot of pressure. Like, he had the world on his shoulders. He was always trying to be 1% better every day. And like, I think that what we do know is that, he really wanted to leave his job, and he felt like it was, he was putting a lot of pressure on himself. And
what was his job, if you don't?
He was in private equity.
Okay.
Yeah, so finance. When this happens, like, you replay everything for like, I'm talking texts, calls, like, everybody. So when we got together, we all talking about it. That was kind of like the thing that seemed that he was communicating to, several people, including his, everybody. So this brand and Drew, I would do anything for him to, like, obviously still be here and to be watching, this, but I wish he could see kind of like what we've done and what he made me believe in myself, like the amount that he made me believe in myself, because I really don't know if I ever would have done it if it weren't for Drew. I wouldn't,
So it was that moment that impacted you the most. It was just like, I have to just do this regardless of.
Yeah. I think a lot of it was like, I gotta try, I gotta try. But I think a lot of it was also like carrying him with me and with us. Like, his initials are on this packaging. They're on my jacket. Like, my Robbie drew the initials that we put out all over everything. But that shows our dedication to partnering with his foundation that that his parents started for young professionals that are navigating work, life, stress, tough times, and the resources for them when things kind of start to go dark.
Did you process any of it? Because if that week you're filing the LLC, like, you just took it and channeled that energy again into taking action, right? And just not empathy. You could have been, sad for yourself. Like, I'm sure you went through all your emotions and all your feels, and I'm sure it wasn't easy for your brother either.
No, it's like the worst thing that's ever happened to me, straight up. But like
that's your, yeah.
That's my why, because the better I can do with this, the more people we can help, because athletes and people aren't all that different in the pressure to provide and perform, especially when you're working on like Wall Street or, especially in finance and any corporate career that is really high stress. I think that the more we can do to give somebody kind of a stable part of their routine, like results come from routine and consistency.
100%.
And when you don't have a routine, you could feel like your life is kind of like off railing. And I think that that's the whole goal, is to create simple, effective, streamlined routines for people that maybe on your worst day, that's all you could do. But then maybe you go make breakfast. Maybe, you know, if you're really down and depressed, maybe you go on a walk after you do something to get yourself up.
Yeah.
So if we can be that person to people, like that's him, that's Drew, that's what we want to do.
Wow.
But the foundation that his parents have started for him, they're going out to basically go to schools and colleges, because I think that there's a missing piece, and they recognize that there is. And when these young professionals go from college to this high pressure situation with work, and there just weren't, like, nobody really tells you that it's going to be.
No one prepares you for the real world.
Or
I always say that.
Resources.
100%. I think when you're in school, it's like you sit there and you memorize things, you learn things, and you spit them back out, right? And school has a bit of like a structure, a discipline to it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really translate to the real world to handle real world problems.
And also, like, people in a position of authority, right? Like,
yes.
Like, how do you tell your boss, I feel like I'm overworked? Like,
when at school, you wouldn't say that to your teacher, right? You're not going to talk back to your teacher.
I've been there, and like in athletic training, like, you know, what was I going to do? Not show up the next day, and who would take care of them? You know, especially in soccer, because it was just me. So like, there is such a pressure to provide and perform. And I think that because of the missing piece of, you know, here are things that you can do if it's too much, if your, you know, your bosses, they give them a skill set and like a little bit of just support, so they know, like, this is what I can do. These are the resources I have. Like, I mean, they have breakout sessions where the students get to break out and actually talk about, like, building themselves up an arsenal of resources to have in case the, you know, work is too much. And I attended the summit at Columbia, and, you know, I'll never forget it, but like one girl was just beside herself because she was like, I didn't realize that that's me. Like, right now, like, I'm not okay. You know, and that's the whole point, right? Like, to help people realize before it's, you know, before it becomes something that it shouldn't have to.
Right.
And I just think the work's amazing, and it's something that I think any setting could use, but especially the private equity and financial,
right.
You know, it's tough.
Right.
It's really not easy, and nobody tells you that.
What is the name of the foundation?
The DRMF, the Drew Reddick Miller Foundation.
You create your LLC now. You're obviously personally going through a lot at the same time, and you're still an athletic trainer.
Yeah.
But now you're also facing fears and doubts of starting a business. What are you going to do with your job of an athletic trainer? And you're dealing with your personal stuff with the loss of your friend. What were the fears and doubts first?
So I didn't really have any fear.
Gabby. That's Gabby.
I didn't really have any fear. I mean, like, I just started. I just started. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I don't have a degree in business, but I know who to ask. Like, I know people I can ask. So I just kind of started. I did this at night while I was a full-time athletic trainer for 2 years. I would just take my meetings at night. So I would wake up, go to practice, come back from practice, take a nap because I probably hadn't slept a lot the night before for like maybe an hour, just to like be able to focus for the next calls. And then I would do calls until like maybe midnight or 1.
Is this the moment you were feeling pressure to stay in this athletic trainer role while doing game plan, or was it just?
I didn't want to quit my job until I had a product. Like, I didn't want to, you know, and I also kind of wanted to see how I could grow it. That's just me being a little bit more risk oriented, but also like it came to a point where I had to make a choice. And that decision, you were.
Yeah, I was here for that one.
Yeah, you were here for that one. I was just like, I can either half-ass this, which I don't half-ass anything, so why would I do that? Or I can go all in and rip it and just get it going. So that's what I chose to do. Like, you reach a point where you have to. It's one way or the other. If you do both, you're not going to be good at both.
Yeah.
You know?
My mom always says, like, you can't row a boat with like one foot in this boat and one foot in that one, right? You got to be in the one boat, and then you're going to get somewhere. So it's like, go all in or take a step back.
Yeah.
But I saw you do that, and it was, I just remember like you telling me this, and then like less than 4 months later, you're like, yeah, I did it. Yep, we're going.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing this.
It was hard for me to step away from like my athletes. I was with soccer, and it was hard. That was hard for me because I'm very loyal. Like, that comes down to my principles. I'm loyal, and I felt like I was leaving them.
I feel like when you have a connection with people, which you do, you have that personality where you build connections and deep relations with people. You're not just going to leave them. You're not going to drop someone.
No.
You are not the person to drop someone.
Especially when they're telling you, like, several of the guys, they were like, thank God you're here. Like, and I felt guilt, massive guilt. Mm-hmm. Because it's very hard to leave people that feel like so much like home.
Right.
And every morning, like, they just made me feel the soccer guys. I mean, I owe them a lot. They tested the products through formulation, and they really did like help me because that was a tough couple of years after Drew passed. Like, I needed them. I don't think I realized how much I needed that team.
Right.
Like, at that point in my life, because I was so down, and I was.
Do you feel like work helped you? Do you feel like work helped you though?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's bigger than just what you're going through. You know, somebody could know, and this is just life. Like, somebody could know nothing. I could know nothing about you, sit down next to you. You could have just, you know, lost someone, the closest person in your life. But then you see me and I'm upset, and you're like, I'm not going to lose it right now. That's how I felt like I was for them. Like,
it makes you stronger. Like, sometimes, I mean, for some people, right? Like, when you see someone else going through, it's like, your problems don't matter. It's like, you kind of see things from up here as opposed to like here and like you, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like the universe comes through and kind of shows you, hey, you're not alone. It's someone else's.
Yeah, and also like it allowed me to kind of like took me out of my own head, and I got to focus on them.
What personal sacrifices did you have to make to start Game Plan?
Time and money. I mean, like, yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going into fundraising for our first seed round, but I bootstrapped this. And time, like, you don't get a vacation. You don't
24/7.
24/7.
That's your child.
This is my
Whether
baby.
you want a child or not, this is your child.
It is my baby. But going on trips, I have to work. I'm running this business, and I have a small team now that helps supplement, but like, it's still pretty much, it's a lot.
You're the main person.
Yeah, and business doesn't shut off. Like, there is always stuff going on. So I would say time and money sacrifices, but I would do it all over again. Like,
if someone were to ask you, like, what were the key steps you took, like top two key steps you took into turning this, you know, vision idea into reality, what would your advice be?
I would say surround yourself with good people. You're only as good as who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And supplement and be coachable. That's what sports taught me. But I translated that into my business for sure. I mean, like, I'm not going to sit here and say I have all the answers or I know best, even though I'm the CEO. If it's marketing, I'm leading on my CMO. If it's operations, COO. If it's legal, also my COO. You know, like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything because I don't. And like, I think that you have to be willing to, even in, you know, building this pitch deck and stuff, we've gone to our advisors and they've been awesome at soundboards, because like, I only know what I know. So if I know, you know, I'm gonna, you know,
like, leave those things to who are experts in the field, and then let them run with it.
Don't try to do somebody else's job.
Right.
And also, like, just surround yourself with people that lift you up, because like, if you have one rotten egg, the rest of them are going to rot too. So I feel like I just really make sure that I always surround myself with good people, because that just brings in beacons of success and drive and positivity.
I think good energy attracts good energy.
Yeah.
That's just always been like my motto. I've always felt like if you have a good team of people, yeah, one can sour the whole thing. But like, if everyone's on like the same page of like being a good person, and like everyone's, you know, lifting each other up. I always say this too. Like, I think one of the things that entrepreneurs make a mistake, and myself included, is that we try to do everything ourselves. But there's listen, someone listening to this could be like, yeah, I had to be everybody and I had to wear all my hats because I didn't have the money in the beginning to have a CMO or to have this or to have this, right? You kind of have to start somewhere. But you have to know within yourself, like, I can't go past this line and this could be hurtful to my company or to my business.
Absolutely.
Like, I need this expertise now. And I also think entrepreneurs can be a little bit on the controlling by nature, like we're leaders, right? And I think that knowing when to be like, this person is the expert, I hired this person for this thing, go.
Yeah.
And you focus on the next thing.
I don't really micromanage anybody. Like that's not the style that I.
Right.
I'm not a micromanager just in general. Like I give people a lot of freedom because I think that sometimes, it depends on the person.
It depends on the person.
Some people work better that way. Like if it's not a problem, then I don't have time to worry. Honestly, I don't have time to worry about it. So like do your thing and then let me know if there's an issue. Like that's kind of how I function. What
was like the big win as an entrepreneur that you had? Like what was that moment that stands out to you?
I think it's a little bit of small moments, like small validation points that have just like been like, all right, I made a good ass thing. Like I made a good ass product and brand. I think that people think that we are bigger than we are because of how we show up on social media. Like, people think that this is a huge company, but it's not. And I would say Urban Outfitters and then people pulling out their checkbooks and saying, where do I sign? Like I want to be an investor. Like I did not think that anybody would want to invest in this when I started. Like I never would have thought. I only knew what I knew, but I really didn't think that, like I just didn't expect it, and then somebody approached me and that's my business partner now, Allison. And she was like, I want you to pitch me. And I was like, what? But that moment I was like, okay, this is getting like real. It's not just me anymore.
Urban Outfitters must felt pretty big too though.
Urban Outfitters was, that was like our first big hit. Yeah, that was crazy because they asked us for assets to put in the
oh wow, okay.
To put online.
Right.
I call my girl Selena, like my best friend. She's also our photographer, like one of our photographers, and I'm like, you got to come over. Like they need assets, and I call Ben, one of my Miami FC athletes, like the soccer player, and I was like, I need you to. Will you just model for me? Like, I really need you to model for me. And then Ben ended up on urbanoutfitters.com and I have Selena on my balcony. I have pull and stick peel tiles from Target.
Oh my gosh.
That I put on a poster board. And then I'm like spraying the products with water. I'm like on my balcony upside down, like trying to hold my hand in this, like, it was crazy, but we got it done and they ended up putting
it's all on the site.
Up. Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. What has been the most fulfilling part of owning Game Plan and running Game Plan?
The most fulfilling part is when somebody says, which happens every time I tell somebody about this, I need that. I see myself in that. Athletes, adults, parents, anybody that I think it's the most fulfilling thing when people are like, I've been looking for something like this that's made for this reason. And I like this so much better than X brands. And we get that all the time too. So I'm competitive. So, I'm here to win. But that feedback is so fulfilling for me. And then, if we recently had somebody reach out and say that he felt like his skin has dramatically improved by using this after practice.
That's amazing.
Because, sometimes you just don't know. You're like, sweat does not cause acne. Sweat sitting in your pores for long periods of time does cause acne. So, acne can be caused by a lot of different reasons. But if that's the reason why you're getting acne, I'm going to give you the fix.
The solution to that.
Yeah. This doesn't even have, anything super active in it. It's not like we have salicylic. It's just the ingredients that we used, with green tea extract being major for oil control and spacious skin. It's really also the habit that I am here to educate people on about wiping your face off. Don't let sweat sit in your pores, especially when you're younger. But like if you're older, it's just a good thing to have. But yeah, it's always really fulfilling when people tell us that they've completely transitioned to Game Plan and stopped buying other wipes. I love to hear that.
That's amazing. I do have a question. I use makeup wipes, and I know you're not supposed to, but with this, because you said this takes off the black.
Eye black, yeah.
What is it called? Eye black?
Yeah.
That like football players use, right?
Takes off makeup too.
Really? Okay. I'm going to have to try it.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it for sure. Looking back on your entire journey up until now, what's the most important lesson you feel you've learned?
I think that you gotta be resilient. You gotta be you have to wake up and go get it every day. Like, you have to find that in you, because nobody is going to teach that to you, you know? And I had like, my rock bottom was when I went to a client's house. He ended up being like a shark. Like, he called me and he said, you told me about your skincare idea when it was just an idea. I'm in that field. Let's talk when you have products. So, 2 years later now, I have products in my hand and I'm like so excited to go see him. And I go there and he absolutely rips. And I was just like sitting there getting grilled, and I was not prepared. I thought not that I need validation. I don't need a pat on the back.
Right.
But like, I thought this was going to go a completely different way. And he's asking me all these questions. Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And I'm like, no, I don't know. No, I was not ready or prepared.
So this is like a pitch, but
I didn't know.
This was the first time ever.
The first time ever I'm getting like such, like, I mean,
Okay.
And keep in mind, like, I'm so proud. Like the samples of these just came in the mail, and I'm like showing him something that I had in my head that I made a thing. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of it, I just need to get out of there. I'm about to lose it. Mm-hmm. And he just says to me, I know I was hard on you, and I know you're going to make these improvements. Come see me in a year. You are the most tenacious person to be in this role, and you're gonna do great with this. But so then I go to the car and I'm thinking about everything he said, like all the things that I had to do, mm-hmm. and that I was like, did I just make a huge mistake? And then I literally just said,
mistake with game plan? Like, is that what
should I have even done?
Okay.
Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
So he got in your head and made you feel like
he got my head.
Okay.
He got my head. But like, what I would tell people is that, like, when something like that happens, or if you have any doubt, or if you feel like people are doubting you, keep going. Mm-hmm. Like, go through the problem, go through it. And, I'll go to that client's house pretty soon and
show him what's up.
Yeah, but like,
that's right.
I could have absolutely caved at that moment and been like, what, like, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. Or, you rise up, you go through, but you got to just keep going through.
Something you did here was that you found a gap in the market. You found like something that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
And I have worked with, so Brian like does like, startups. Well, he did previously in his past life. And he always said like a very successful entrepreneur is solving a problem. And there's a gap, there's a solution, there's a problem, and then this person has a solution. Those are like your big success stories.
Right.
A lot of people have tons of ideas because they think it's going to sell, or they think people need it, but they don't really see, there's no problem solution type situation going on, but you did. My question is, someone who does find that problem and finds that gap in a market, what is the first thing they should do when trying to make this idea happen?
I agree with Brian, but I'll counter it, because I think that after I've done this whole thing, right? Like, after I've been this far in, you got to stand on what you're doing. And that is what I think a successful entrepreneur, problem solution, mm-hmm. gap in the market, but you have to be behind what you're doing and stand on it, because it's very evident if you don't. Mm-hmm. You could tell how people move, like if they're with what they're doing or if they're just doing it for money. I think
that's very apparent.
I think that if you're going to start a business, you have to be passionate about it, because also if you're not, then you're not going to
it won't translate.
It won't translate.
Your authenticity won't translate.
How are you going to show up every day and work and want something that bad?
Right. You won't. You'll cave. Yeah. Every little obstacle that's being thrown your way, you'll be like, why am I doing this? Like, your passion. It's going to be, it shows.
Gotta be, yeah.
You're going to have to.
It totally shows. But
I agree with that.
I would tell people, if they want to take that step in their entrepreneurship journey, is talk to other entrepreneurs, talk to other founders, talk to other people that have done what you're trying to do or something adjacent to it, mm-hmm. and find out try to you got to learn, but you got to learn by also hearing how other people's stories went, because I would have told you I was yapping, mm-hmm. and I told somebody the name and the idea, and I got a call on the beach, and they go, I want to buy your idea. And I said,
yeah, you did tell me this.
And I said, I was like, not for sale. And then I'm trademarking. I'm on USPTO.com on the beach. I'm like, I trademarked it on the beach, but I did it completely wrong because I was like in a rush. So I wish that somebody just said like, you know, I had asked somebody like, hey, do you know how to do this? Like, but I didn't. So like, I would tell other people that are trying to take the step, like talk to other founders, find out what they did and did wrong. Like, you know, business isn't, it's, if you have success every day, like hats off to you, but business knocks you down and it's.
I think business isn't as an up and down roller coaster. I don't think it's always this way.
Yeah. And like, I'm like a high.
It's like life.
It's like life, but I'm also like, I'm an overachiever. Like I strive for a lot and I'm a definitely like high performer. Like I'm always kind of doing something. So for those types of people, I think it's like really easy to forget when you do something good and to like, cause I already forgot about it. Like I'm on the next thing right now.
How has your journey as an entrepreneur from athletic trainer to now entrepreneur, business owner changed you personally?
It hasn't. I'm still the same me, but I think it's just, like personality wise, I am so, you know how I am. I'm so authentic. And I mean, I couldn't change if I tried to. I think what it has done is it has given me a little bit of like a little bit more of an edge. Like I'm a little bit more like when it's business and I'm not afraid to tell somebody I'm not taking their shit. Like, you know, whereas in the past I would have kind of like, I guess like channeled that and like absorbed that and not, you know, I wouldn't have stuck up for myself the way I probably
I was going to say, I think I see you standing up more. Like you have that, like you always have that confidence. You've always come off that way. But like, I feel like you're like, no, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I know my product. I know myself. I know my business. It's like you have that in you of like, you're not going to shake me.
No.
Like, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I'm like not afraid to make people feel uncomfortable now.
Right.
Like,
as opposed to like, just like, you're right, absorbing it or like, you know, being scared.
Or just like being scared to say something. Or being like, oh my God, I don't like, you know, I have to be respectful. And I'm always respectful, but I will stand my ground. Like, I think that's probably the thing that's changed most.
What's next for you personally, Game Plan, and the foundation?
For Game Plan, we're in product development, we're in fundraising, we're coming out with 2 or 3 new products over the summer. Super exciting. And then we're just going for it. Like we're going out to fundraise to be able to put money behind everything that we're trying to do and you know, honestly tell the world about this. Like I want to spend money on advertising so I can get the word out there because we're being conservative right now. And I think it's going to be so cool to see how this continues to grow. We've already seen exponential growth since, especially I quit my job, but also because we're now like, we have these branches, right? Like marketing, we're getting our ducks in a row. And I'm just so excited to watch it take off. For the foundation, we are starting to put together different events to fundraise. So there's a golf outing every year. They're going to, I think, 5 schools this spring to speak to students and stuff.
Okay. Where exactly? Do you know like where?
Indiana is always
okay.
a big one. I think Arizona.
How do they pick those?
They reach out to them.
Oh.
Yeah.
The schools reach out to the foundation. Okay.
Yeah. And or like, you know, they meet them somewhere and they like make that connection and stuff like that. But that's not to say that they can't, you know, I think they wouldn't show up to like more or more places. But at the end of the day, it is also having people show up there.
Do you think they're going to want to do companies?
Yeah.
And corporations?
I think so.
Especially in finance.
Yeah. I think that's still tough though, because I'm not sure how many financial groups are going to like recognize the need.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. But I do think that they will open up to that at some point, like at scale, or at least like resources and stuff like that. And then I think we're going to also do, somebody brought up like a hoops tournament as a fundraiser. And I was like, Game Plan will be all over that. Like, I would love to do that too. So big plans for them too this year.
I'm not going to let you leave until you tell me personally what you've got for yourself.
Personally?
What do you hope? What do you like, you know, what do you like? What's just one thing?
I mean, it's hard because I feel like
I know you live, eat, breathe, and do everything game plan. I know. But like, just even if it's like the tiniest thing that like, there's this one thing personally that you wish or you hope to work on or see manifest for yourself.
I'm pretty good at this already, but I do want to make sure that I'm like reaching out to people more, especially on the phone.
Okay.
Because I'm really bad at text, honestly. Like my
we talked about this. We're not very,
scary.
We don't
scary world.
I don't keep up as much as I should either. Like, you know, I get lost in my life and I get lost in my stuff.
Yeah, but I think it's important because like you never know, like it feels good, and also like showing up for your friends and for your family. Like I do want to be more present now that I work remotely, I guess. Remotely, whatever.
Remotely, but 24/7.
Remotely, but like I have to be like in certain places, like, you know, with events and stuff. I do want to make sure that I'm still balancing and like taking care of myself and taking care of my business, but also like taking care of my family, friends, showing up for them.
Yeah. Like your social life, your family life, and work, which is, they're both equally very important.
Yeah. You got to kind of have all the cups full, you know, like I want balance. So that's like, that's what I hope that I will get personally. 'Cause lately it hasn't felt so balanced. I've just been like,
you're going to figure it out.
I will, but also like this is the time. This is the time. Like I'm in a really good kind of position to get this going right now, and I want to blow it up. So that's what I'm going to do.
Gabby, congratulations on everything.
I'm
so proud of you. Seriously, you're such an inspiration. Thank you for being on the show. I love you. You're such like, I'm telling you, we're just like Gabby, like the Gabby story. I'm telling you, like you crushed it. But before you go, please tell the audience or share with them where they can find you, learn about you, buy a game plan, everything, like follow the journey.
Yeah. So on Instagram, you could find Game Plan at Game Plan Skincare, TikTok, same thing. LinkedIn, I'm Gabriella Arancio or Gabby Arancio. I think it's Gabby on there.
I think it's Gabby.
It might be Gabriella, but Gabriella Arancio, and Game Plan's also on LinkedIn, Facebook, all the things, but you can find me on LinkedIn.
It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's a wrap, you guys. Crushed it.